Welcome back, guys. It's your boy 3Clips. It is like 4 a.m. in the morning, but we're gonna record another episode. My bad, guys. I haven't been recording lately. Working on my server and shit. So, I think in this episode we're gonna be talking about passive spells. And in passive spells, hold up. Sorry about that. Alright, so in passive spells, what passive spells basically is it's a spell that detects any trigger, and once it detects any trigger, it will cast a spell. So if we look over here in the wiki, passive spell, this is all the options for passive spells along with the triggers. So what triggers are is basically an event that happens, and this spell would test for that event. So for example, if we want the take damage event, so let's say we want to detect whether or not the caster takes damage, we would use the trigger take damage. Same thing for giving damage, and so on all the way down here. So I think we will go and start. Okay, so I think in this episode we will make a let's go simple. Let's go sneak passive, and on sneak, let's do a jump. Yeah, let's on sneak, let's do a jump. Okay, so how do we do that? I'm gonna take this from here, go here, and we're gonna call this sneak passive. Now, it's recommended that, okay, so it's recommended that you guys only have one passive, like one trigger passive. For example, if we have a Tix 20 passive, we only want one of them, we don't want multiple of them, because it will actually cause lag and ruin your server performance. So that's a little tip right there, a little pro tip. Alright, so where is the sneak passive? Let's do Control F, find, and type in whatever you want. I'm gonna do start sneak. We don't want to do stop sneak. Okay, so we'll put this in the triggers to start sneak. And then we need a spell, so we're gonna create that real quick. It's gonna be a pretty short episode because this is a really simple spell. And next episode we'll talk about modifiers and variables, and we'll go on from there. And we'll combine everything we know and make a cool little spell. And we're gonna call this sneak leap. Sneak leap. Remove the options you don't want, like I mentioned in the previous episodes. Make sure to do helper spells. Make sure to do that on sub spells. This is considered a sub spell because the sneak passive is casting it. This is the main spell. You always want always granted for passives, unless you want to do a condition where certain players will only have access to it. But either then, if that happens for me, I just use the modifiers, which we are going to talk about next episode. Forward velocity 10, upward velocity 15, cancel damage true. Okay, so done. That's basically it for all the spells. So save that. /ms reload, and whoop. You can see I sneaking, and it leaves me forward. Perfect. Alright, so let's try another trigger. Do another run with the same spell. Let's do kill. Fires an entity kills him. Okay, cool. So we're gonna talk about parameters real quick and trigger bars. So what trigger bars is the text right after the passive name. So for example, let's say I only want to kill zombie to have it trigger. Well, lucky for you, the trigger bar limits this list with a list of entity types. That entity types is the type of entity that would be triggered when killed. So we are going to look on the entity page. We are just going to do a zombie right here. So kill zombie, and then save /ms reload. then when we kill a zombie, oh, we leaped. Perfect. So this does exactly what you wanted to do. Alright, so I want to talk about the ticks passive real quick. What the ticks passive basically is it will check for, and it will cast a spell every time, every like 20 ticks or so. So it's on a timer basically. Now, I use ticks sometimes, and it's only for mechanics that really need it. So, I'll show you why I refrained from using ticks. I'll show you why. Oh, oh, look at that. It's gonna keep leaping me up every 10 ticks. There's 20 ticks in a second in Minecraft, which means that this is popping off every half a second. Now, obviously, oh, okay, well, let's not do this. Okay, so why is this inefficient? Because if you're running a deep spell, if you're running like a big spell, and you have ticks on 10, and you have multiple of them, multiple tick passives at least, okay? If you have multiple tick passives, that would mean that you're casting multiple spells on tick passives, which is kind of inefficient. So I would want to stay away from that. I usually stay away from that on my server, just because you know, I like my server and I don't want it to die. So that's why. But yeah, that would be it. I mean, I will go into what we can use as alternatives for tick passives. Obviously, it doesn't work in every scenario. You have to see which scenario it works best for. But yeah, I think this is it for this episode. I hope this taught you a little bit about passive spells. Again, I'm going to recap. Passive spells are spells that check for an event. It will check for an event. You don't need to cast it. It will automatically check one on server restart or Magicspells reload. Anyways, yeah, there's a lot of triggers. You can check the triggers out on the on the passive spell page. Other than that, I think this will be it. So, you know, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.